Take a look at the battlefield of Crécy, or any major European conflict during the Middle Ages, and you will find a chaotic, muddy meat grinder. For the noblemen of Northern Europe, warfare was a divine ordeal. A battlefield was a proving ground for spiritual purity and aristocratic duty, bound by the strict codes of chivalry. This honor-bound system was a logistical nightmare. Dukes and lords bickered over who had the right to charge first, prioritizing personal glory and social precedence over actually securing a tactical advantage. The typical northern campaign routinely collapsed into an undisciplined brawl. It was less a cohesive strategy and more a violent collision of competing aristocratic egos. South of the Alps, the rules were entirely different. While France and England were consolidating into large monarchies, the Italian peninsula remained a fractured network of wealthy, independent city-states. These merchant hubs lacked the vast agricultural lands needed to support their own standing armies of feudal knights. So, wealthy republics bought their armies, hiring mercenary captains known as condottieri. Combat wasn't about divine favor, it was a strict business. You kept troops alive, secured winter quarters, and ensured patrons paid. Survival and profit were the only metrics of success. By putting a price tag on violence, Italy stripped away the romantic illusions of feudal combat. When you pay in gold for every single soldier on the field, you demand measurable, unsentimental efficiency. That demand for military efficiency accelerated rapidly on the battlefield with the deployment of a terrifying new technology, firearms. Gunpowder served as a devastating social equalizer. A common peasant with a few days of training could suddenly pull a trigger and drop an elite aristocrat who had spent a lifetime mastering swordplay. The Old Guard reacted with absolute fury. When the mercenary commander Paolo Vitelli captured a group of enemy arquebusiers, early infantry gunmen, he refused to treat them as traditional prisoners of war. He ordered his men to gouge out the prisoners' eyes and sever their hands. Vitelli believed it was culturally insulting for a noble knight to be struck down by a cheap, distant projectile wielded by a commoner. Vitelli's cruelty was a reaction to a power shift he couldn't control. A lifetime of elite training and expensive armor no longer guaranteed safety against a lead ball fired from 50 yards away. While traditionalists resisted, the most successful Italian commanders recognized the inevitable and integrated this new technology into their forces. The military hierarchy flipped. The highest-paid man on the payroll were no longer the charging cavalrymen in shining armor. They were the engineers, the brass gun founders, and the artillerists. Sieges and field battles became rigorous exercises in geometry. Commanders designed complex star fortresses and mapped precise arcs of artillery fire. This calculated approach replaced individual heroism with applied physics, allowing Niccolò Machiavelli to write his treatise, The Art of War, treating combat strictly as an intellectual discipline. The battlefield was no longer a stage for proving moral virtue. It was a rational puzzle, solved through mathematics and careful logistical planning. By shedding the baggage of feudal precedents, the Italian system achieved a high level of efficiency. They promoted leaders based on tactical merit and raw talent, indifferent to whether a captain had noble blood. Princes like Federico of Urbino mastered these logistics and engineering principles. Under their command, the Italian peninsula became a specialized training ground, essentially serving as the military academy of Europe. Foreign monarchs looked on with envy. Powerful northern leaders, like Emperor Maximilian I, possessed a very superficial grasp of these logistics. To build their fortifications or conduct modern sieges, the rest of Europe eventually had to rely on Italian engineers to teach them how to fight. The mathematical precision of Renaissance art had a darker application. The same engineers who designed cathedrals were now calculating the impact of iron on stone. This technical mastery of violence became a lasting export, the invention of the modern, industrialized science of war.